Madam Chair, is your mic? I'm sorry.
It's new. Okay. Again, good afternoon. Welcome to the June 25th, 2026 regular meeting of San Diego Community Power Board of Directors. I am Ditas Yamani, Vice Chair of the Board representing the City of National City. Our chair is expected to join us later in the meeting. We welcome members of the public, community power staff, and board members joining us today at the Port of San Diego Administration Building. I now call the meeting to order. Mari, please call the roll.
Director Elo Rivera. Will you turn on your mic, please?
Present.
Director Fisher.
Present.
Alternate Director Preciado.
Present.
Director San Antonio.
Present.
Director Suzuki.
Here.
Vice Chair Yamani.
Here.
Chair Lassen-Bremer. We have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Let's all please stand and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. Director San Antonio, would you lead us the honor, please?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the land of the original inhabitants of the Greater San Diego region. A land acknowledgement is a critical step toward working with Native communities to create meaningful partnerships and inclusion in the stewardship and protection of their cultural resources and homelands. Let's take a moment to honor these ancestral grounds that were the traditional lands of the Kumeyaay. Thank you. Are there any items to be added, withdrawn, or reordered on the agenda?
Madam Chair, we are removing introductions of new staff from tonight's agenda.
Okay, so there is a special presentation. We are presenting proclamations for their years of service to the following outgoing members of the Community Advisory Committee. Matthew Vasilakis, an inaugural CAC member representing the City of San Diego since April of 2020. Matthew Vasilakis has shaped how the San Diego Community Power Board of Directors receives ongoing citizen support and engagement since before its service to City of San Diego residents began. Matt brought to the CAC a unique perspective as a local leader and environmental advocate, chairing the committee for 2 years and uplifting social equity for all communities served. His leadership has been consistently visible and impactful, exemplified by his ceremonial first pitch as a San Diego Padres game, where he represented community power with distinction. David Harris. David Harris has served in the CAC since April 2020 before we began service and was an advocate of CCAS in the region before one was formally established. A resident of La Mesa, a longtime community activist, David represented and volunteered at community power events. He created several ad hoc committees out of genuine interest on local development and programs. Tara Hammond. Tara Hammond has served in the CAC since April 2020 before we even began service and was an advocate of CCAs in the region before one was formally established. She served as CAC Vice Chair in various ad hoc committees. She is the founder and executive director of Hammond Climate Solutions Foundation, has been involved in volunteering capacities with Surfrider Foundation of San Diego County, Sierra Club San Diego Chapter, 1% for the Planet, the Climate Reality Project, Climate Defenders Action Fund, Bike San Diego, Clean Tech San Diego, San Diego Green New Deal Alliance, San Diego Green Building Council, SD 350, Grid Alternative San Diego, California Solar and Storage Association. Lawrence Emerson. Lawrence Emerson has served in the CAC since February of 2022. He served as CAC Vice Chair and served on several ad hoc committees. He is a longtime resident of National City since 1964. He served as Legislative Chair of the Electric Vehicle Association and associated with ST 350. We thank you all for your outstanding service to the Community Advisory Committee and the San Diego region as a whole. So Jill, you're going to call all the four? Okay. Okay, thank you. Directors, can we honor our volunteers?
Everybody good?
Thank you.
Did you get you're the one who got the yeah.
Okay, moving on to our agenda. We will now take up on non-agenda public comments. I want to note that written public comments submitted before the board meeting were emailed to board members prior to the meeting and will be posted online. Mari, do we have any non-agenda public comments?
We do not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We will now move to the consent calendar items 1 to 11. Approve May 28, 2026 and June 18, 2026 meeting minutes. Receive and file program update. Receive and file power services update. Receive and file customer operations update. Receive and file IT and data analytics update. Receive and file human resources update. Receive and file marketing, public relations, and local government affairs update. Receive and file treasurer's report for 9-month period ending March 31st, 2026. Receive and file regulatory and legislative affairs update. Adoption of resolution 2026 to 09, approving San Diego Community Powers 2026 Integrated Resource Plan, the IRP, and update on California Energy Commission's Equitable Building Decarbonization Direct Install Program. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any public comments on this consent calendar, Mari?
We do not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Mari, please call the roll.
Director Elo Rivera. Director Fisher.
Aye.
Alternate Director Preciado.
Yes.
Director San Antonio,
Aye.
Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We move on to our regular agenda items. We will now move to item 12. This is a public hearing for AB 2561, status of vacancies, recruitment and retention efforts. The public hearing is now open. Tim Manglimut, Senior Director of Finance and Risk, will present this item. It says here 5 minutes, Tim.
Good evening, Vice Chair Yamani, Board of Directors. For the record, my name is Timothy Mangamat, Senior Director of Finance and Risk. I have the pleasure today of presenting an action item for the board to accept staff's report on the status of vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts. Just by way of quick background, AB 2561 is something that you're likely familiar with since it's required for local agencies. It went into effect on January 1st, 2025. So this is our second time doing this. And it's also required for a local agency to hold a public hearing annually every year and alongside the adoption of a potential budget. Just by way of requirements, AB 2561 does require, in addition to the public hearing, report again on the status of recruitment, retention, and the vacancies of the agency. And then it also requires that if there is a necessary policy or procedural change, that we bring forth that policy or procedural change here. And we're not recommending any change today. In terms of just current openings in this current fiscal year, we had 28 open positions in the fiscal year. 20 of those positions were filled during the fiscal year. And there are currently 3 positions that are currently open for recruitment currently. Just in terms of retention during the fiscal year, so Community Power does have a really low attrition rate. Our attrition rate is near 3% and has been improving over time. And when you just peel back some layers on the attrition, a lot of that attrition has to do with just natural attrition, with people just leaving kind of for personal reasons. So we are very proud of that low retention or low attrition rate, and we do continue to attract a lot of good mission-aligned staff that stick around for the longer term. Of those 28 positions, we also want to make sure that we're transparent and accountable on all the positions that we had during the fiscal year. So I won't go through every position, but those are the 28 that were open during the fiscal year, with the current statuses on recruitment and retention efforts for those. And those 28 positions are also included in your packets. So just all in all, Community Power does have a really competitive compensation package. And when you just, again, combine that compensation package alongside just, forthcoming and really strong efforts to try to recruit mission-aligned staff, it's led to some really good outcomes. And it's part of the reason why today we're not recommending any changes, and we're recommending approving the status of our report for AB 2561. And with that said, Vice Chair, I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. Any comment from the board? Questions or a motion?
Move, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we don't have any public comments on this item.
Us,
And you need to
yes.
close the public hearing, please.
Yes, there are no public comments and public hearing is now closed.
I will move again.
Thank you,
Second.
Director. Thank you. The recommendation is to hold public hearing, receive comments, and accept report on the status of Community Power employee vacancy rates and recruitment and retention efforts. I have a motion and a second. Mari, if there are no other comment.
I had a question.
Yes, go ahead, Director.
Apologies if I missed this. Are there some baselines to compare these numbers to?
Baselines in terms of other local agencies?
Yes.
Yeah, so the report didn't include baselines for other local agencies. Typically with the budget, most budgets will include some type of attrition rate. I can say transparently, our budget purposely did not include attrition rate. Just by way of comparison, in the city of San Francisco, as an example, we had an attrition rate closer to the 15% point range. So I'd say for Community Power, it is pretty uncommon to have such a really good attrition number. And just using that as an example, we can come back to the board with more hard figures, but just from my experience from other local agencies, it's a really good attrition rate.
Yeah, it seems quite low, but it's always good to know, like on a broader scale beyond what I'm familiar with, whether it is actually low. Or if the other agencies that I'm familiar with have high attrition rates. This is lower than what I generally see. But I appreciate the report. I'll support the motion.
Thank you, Director. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Mari, please call the roll.
May I ask who made the second, please? Who seconded the motion? Director Suzuki,
Director
thank you.
Suzuki.
Thank you.
I was gonna call you General.
Okay, Director Elo Rivera,
Yes.
Director Fisher,
Aye.
Alternate Director Preciado,
Aye.
Director San Antonio,
Aye.
Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani.
Yeah,
Motion
Aye.
carries.
thank you. Thank you, Director. Item 13 is yours too.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me intro, right? We will now move to item 13, adoption of resolution number 26-10, approving the FY 2026-2027 operating budget, the FY 2026-2027 capital budget, and the FY 2027-2031 capital investment plan. Jack Clark, Acting Chief Executive Officer, will introduce the item and pass it over to Tim McLemot, Senior Director of Finance and Risk, to make presentation. It says here 7 minutes. It says, really, look.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Again, just for the record, Timothy Mangelmott, Senior Director of Finance and Risk for Community Power. And I promise this will be a much shorter presentation than the May presentation, which I know is extremely long. So again, this is an action item to approve a resolution to adopt Community Power's FY 26-27 operating budget, capital budget, and our 5-year CIP. And I guess before I get started real quick, I do also just want to take a quick opportunity to thank staff. Whenever we do these budgets, it really is a huge effort amongst the staff, especially the finance team who's here in the crowd today, who put a lot of effort into these budgets. By way of quick background, the board did adopt a budget policy that does lay out kind of the timeline for board adoption. Importantly, the budget policy says that the board is proposed to adopt the budget at least a month before the start of the fiscal year on July 1st, 2027. And so we're bringing this item to the board today, consistent with that budget policy. So also consistent with prior years, the board will notice in their packets that we are also including the full operating budget book and the full CIP book. Under the direction of the board and executive leadership, especially Vice Chair Yamani from a few years ago, this budget book is a Government Finance Officers Association award-winning book. I do really quick want to thank Jen, Jill, and Brendan, our public affairs team, who spent a lot of time creating this really comprehensive book. And it really is our effort to try to be as transparent and accountable to the public as possible, and to ensure that we're not just providing budget numbers, but also the numbers tell a story on what we're actually delivering to the public. And then ultimately, the goals of our budget and the budget book is just fiscal stewardship and affordability for our customers whenever we can. In terms of what's changed between May and June, so we largely left the budget unchanged from what you saw from May to June, which is part of the reason why it's a much shorter presentation today. But we did, kind of under the direction of the board, take a much more closer look at our budget just to see if we could peel back any more portions of our non-energy budget to see if we could find any savings. So the one change that we're proposing today is to reduce our non-energy budget by $820,000. That $820,000 is largely due to the reduction from 2 positions. Again, for staff, really trying to look to see how much we can save and cost cut so that we can continue to deliver affordable rates for our customers for years to come. And you could see in your packets and kind of on the slide what we're proposing to cut today. So all in all, what's this budget delivering? We still do anticipate a double-digit rate decrease for our customers come January 1st, 2027. I kind of mentioned it last presentation. It's still much too early to tell projection, but that's still our best projection is a double-digit rate decrease for our customers. Again, I mentioned the non-energy budget being reduced by $820,000. So the resulting kind of net effect of that is a very small net margin this year, resulting at $3.9 million kind of at the end of the fiscal year. With that $3.9 million kind of contribution from the budget this year, we do anticipate that the reserves will grow to about 280 days cash on hand. As a quick reminder, we talked last month about purposely trying to grow the reserves to 280 days cash on hand because we do anticipate that potential PCI snapback to occur. So the general idea then is to try to grow the reserves to that 280 days cash on hand. We want to contribute a portion of that come October to our rate stabilization reserve. And then use that rate stabilization reserve to try to give rate relief for our customers on January 1st of 2027. And we do look forward to returning in January so that we can put those rate stabilization dollars to work for our customers. Also included in your packets again this fiscal year or this budget cycle is our capital investment plan. The capital investment plan isn't changed from what you saw last month. So we're still anticipating and proposing to move forward with the San Diego Regional Energy Network, with the solar battery savings program, and then a few pilot programs. The CAP, just like in previous years, is our comprehensive look at all the projects and programs that we anticipate delivering for the next 5 years. Just in terms of more detail, again, what's included in this slide is the same exact slide that we presented in May, because we're not proposing any change to the CAP or the capital budget in this month packet. Just by way of quick reminder, in the CAP, there are carry forward funds that were already appropriated by the board. So that's still included for use for the upcoming fiscal year. We are also including kind of our capital appropriation for this upcoming fiscal year. So that's at $71.4 million that you see for FY27. And then the 5-year CIP is not an appropriation, it's a plan for what we expect to have for projects and programs kind of over the next 5 years. So I promised you this was going to be a really quick presentation. So kind of to summarize here, there's 3 main actions through the resolution that we're asking the board to make an action on today. Action number 1 is to approve our operating budget with a resulting net margin of $3.9 million. Action number 2 is to approve our capital budget with a capital appropriation of $71.4 million. And then action number 3 is to approve our 5-year capital investment plan, which approves about almost $300 million in capital investments over the next 5 years. And with that said, Vice Chair Yamani, I'll turn it back over to you for questions.
Thank you, Director. Mari, is there any public comment?
There are none, Madam
There
Chair.
are none. Okay, I'll turn it over to board members for comments, questions, or motion.
I just have a quick comment, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
Director, please.
So I don't know if I need to push this thing or not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so as you know, I'm all introduced as the alternate. The only feedback that I have for you is I'm interested in ensuring I appreciate the cost savings, and because all of our communities are experiencing rate adjustments, and I don't even want to get into the recent announcement of a future rate adjustment with our friends at SDG&E. I am interested in ensuring that to the extent possible, this organization limits any expenditures that do not support increasing energy, increasing use of sustainable energy uses. And by that, I mean, I see that sometimes it's important to support community events and community activities, but I won't criticize further by naming them, but I will say this. I was at a community meeting yesterday and I saw an extraordinary investment in accommodating or hosting the community. And as someone who helped get a $5 million deposit to that organization, I'm going, I want the public to always know that we are being very careful with their resources, and as much as it helps us build goodwill with community organizations and things, I'd rather be able to comfortably say that we are doing the best we can to save and not generate new expenses. Now, this JPA may have its own public affairs goals, its own community outreach goals, and I'm not here to judge those. I'm just asking that as we consider the use of all resources of this agency, that we show the public there is no extra, no additional expenses, nothing that impacts on them. 'Cause families are making choices right now, and I think it might be good for us to be making those kinds of choices as well, and serve water, serve whatever it is that is helpful to accommodate participation. But it is just important to me as an alternate to see that every agency is doing its best to keep costs down and publicly demonstrate that we are obviously a good agency doing very well, award-winning a lot of things, but we also want to be award-winning savers of our ratepayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any other comment from the directors? Seeing none, Director, thank you. Thank you to you and the staff for for your presentation. We have seen this several times already as also at the finance and risk management. As I have said then, this is a living document that all of us can revisit and make sure that the guidance from our director, Preciado, is very well noted and heard loudly. And that's also my request to you, as one of the members here. Thank you. So if there are no other comments, I would entertain a motion. The recommendation is adoption of resolution number 2026-10, approving the FY 2026-2027 operating budget, the FY 2026-2027 capital budget, and the FY 2027-2031 capital investment plan.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Director Suzuki. Thank you, Director San Antonio. Mari, any other comments? Mari, please call the roll.
Director Elo Rivera,
Yes.
Director Fisher,
Aye.
Alternate Director Preciado,
Yes.
Director San Antonio,
Aye.
Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now move on to item 14. Thank you, Director Tim. Approve 15-year renewable power purchase agreements with Suncia Wind North LLC and Suncia Wind South LLC for 25 megawatt of wind products in substantially final form, and authorize the acting chief executive officer to execute the agreement. Andrea Torres, Director of Origination, will present these items.
Okay. Good evening, Vice Chair Yamane and Board of Directors. I'm going to spend a little time on this presentation. The next item will be a little shorter just because there's replicate. So I'm bringing two items to you for recommendation for approval of two power purchase agreements. The first is with Suncia. Suncia probably sounds familiar to you. We have it already existing capacity from the large Suncia wind project in our portfolio, 150 megawatts. It's also the largest operational wind project in the United States. This opportunity came to us through the developer and owner operator Pattern Energy. Held an auction of a series of 7 auctions to release what ended up being 175 megawatts of renewable energy capacity from their project that was not yet contracted. This is primarily offered to existing off-takers. We're one of about a dozen off-takers, many of which are fellow CCAs, but they have remaining capacity that's just operating merchant to the grid. This is, as I mentioned, it's a very large project. It's over 3.6 megawatts of capacity coming out of New Mexico. And there's a large transmission line that's enabling that delivery. And I can say that we started deliveries under our existing contract just last month. So it's a very exciting time for the renewable energy transition. So this particular product is just for energy and renewable energy credits. Resource adequacy is not part of the offering. This is because it's an out-of-state wind resource out of the CAISO footprint. And in order to secure resource adequacy, we need import rights. All load serving entities like ourselves need import rights for that. So it's under contract. The recommendation is just energy and renewable energy credits. Deliveries would start the top of the year in January next year for delivery of 15 years. It is a built project already, so there isn't workforce creation from a giant new build, massive, new construction project. However, I presented the original contract back in 2023, and it had strong union support because it was built under numerous PLAs for various scopes of service. The PPA terms are by and large identical to our existing contract, and it just strips out that RA delivery and adjusts delivery terms and capacity. And like with all of our bundled product, we are entitled to damages if there's underperformance with their guaranteed. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why we wanted to take advantage of this opportunity and participate in the auction. So in the wind market these days for new build is pretty thin on the ground. It was already some headwinds due to interconnection and permitting considerations, but with the elimination of tax credits for solar and wind resources in general, we don't foresee a lot of opportunity to secure wind resources in the near future. And so this offer came concurrent with a lot of bilateral outreach from owners and operators of existing wind resources that are coming off of contract soon. And so we are fortunate to be able to, when we're evaluating whether we wanted to participate and how we wanted to bid for that resource, that we had a good comparative market offers to consider, a decent pool for that analysis. Wind is particularly attractive for all load serving entities because it delivers around the clock. We have a very solar heavy portfolio, although it's by and large paired with storage. There's still hours overnight where we're reliant on dirtier system power from the grid. And so this is particularly important, not just to diversify our portfolio to manage risk from a technology basis, but also starting in 2028, the California Energy Commission is requiring all load serving entities of a certain size to report their hourly GHG emissions on the Power Source Disclosure Report. And so we're very mindful of how we'll show up as an agency on that report compared to not only our incumbent utility, but the rest of the state. And so the wind resources will certainly reduce our hourly GHG footprint. In addition to that, the CPUC and the Air Resources Board also has pretty aspirational targets for reducing GHG emissions in the electricity sector. And so that's part of the integrated resource plan that was on the consent agenda today. Those targets are aggressive up into 2045. And to do that, you need those resources. I'm just going to note really quick, just for a point of reference, a project like this, just the 25 megawatt slice, powers approximately 20,000 homes annually. Try to make this quick as possible. That concludes my presentation on SunZia. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Director. Mari, thank you, Director, for the presentation. Mary, do we have any public comment on this item?
There are none, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Board, do you have any comment on this? Yes, Director Fisher?
I'm still fairly new to the board, so I just have a question. Since the power is generated pretty far away, what does it cost to get the power to us through transmission? What does that look like? Jeez.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's interesting because the way we schedule our resources, we schedule generation, and that has their own revenues and costs associated with it with CAISO, and then we also schedule our load. So there's different financial implications for that loss of transmission. Transmission loss is just volumetrically, but it shows up separately for our load. We schedule our resources, and it's called a DLAP. So it does have an economic impact on they call it basis risk between where the point the project is delivering and our load. So that is a factor in our analysis. I don't have the numbers for you offhand for this presentation.
No, that's fine. The numbers aren't super important because I just know that a large cost for our ratepayers is SDG and their fee that they charge for transmission and all the equipment to establish. I was just curious what that looks like, you know, from a large supplier that we do business with. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment from the board? Seeing none, I have a recommendation to approve a 15-year renewable power purchase agreements with Sancia Wind North LLC and Sancia Wind South LLC for 25 megawatt of wind products in substantially final form and authorize the acting CEO to execute the agreement. I'm entertaining a motion.
I
from the
move to
board.
approve.
Thank you. Director Suzuki. Second. Thank you. Director Prashado. Any other comment? Seeing none, Mari, please call the roll.
Director Eloy Rivera,
Yes.
Director Fisher,
Aye.
Alternate Director Preciado,
Yes.
Director San Antonio,
Aye.
Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani,
Aye.
Chair Lassen Reimer.
I was not here for the whole presentation, so I'll abstain. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion carries, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. I will turn over the chair position to our chair, Lawson Reimer. Chair?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for stepping up and for serving and for being there. I apologize, I had my own board meeting for the county that I just ran out of to get over here, so trying to be two places at once. Okay, so we're moving on now to item 15, approve the proposed 9-year renewable power purchase agreement with Kumeyaay Wind LLC for 50 megawatts of wind product in substantially final form and authorize the acting chief executive officer to execute this agreement. Andrea, would you like to present this item?
I would, thank you. Yeah, particularly excited about this. So this is another wind PPA. Again, this came to us, I guess officially through a local RFI, but again, it was part of a pool of resources for us to evaluate. It's another existing wind project. It has a capacity of 50 megawatts. It's been operational since 2005. And so it's come off of contract. This used to be under contract with SDG&E. And so it's been operating merchant, and the developer, again, is marketing this project pretty heavily to a lot of interested buyers. The location is in San Diego County around Boulevard. It's really hard to see on this image, but you can actually see the little turbines in that Google image. You're welcome to, to Google that later. So this is a fully bundled product. So it's energy, REX, and RA. It would start very soon in September. It's 9 years, and that seems like an odd term. We don't normally do that, but that's a function of its existing lease agreement. That's the termination date out into 2035. There's potential for renewal. We'll be monitoring that. It powers the equivalent of 40,000 homes, and like before, provides damages for failure to perform. And another good provision in this term is that despite the fact it's an aging resource, we actually we secured still robust guarantee terms, and that I can say that wasn't uniform from among offerings among these older facilities. I'm going to skip the first 3 bullets. Sorry, Lawson Reimer, but I was speaking a little bit further about, well, maybe I could spend a little time if you like, but I was just describing the general wind market and the constraints and the whys we want to contract for more wind resources. Some unique community benefits for this particular project. So the Kampa Kumeyaay Nation directly benefits from offtake contracts because under their lease agreement, they get 5% of revenues of the PPA. So that's a real benefit for the tribe. In addition to that, Leeward has also committed to a community benefits contribution for our customers, as with many of our other PPAs. Again, this is existing build resources. There isn't any new construction currently contemplated. However, key areas of maintenance work is performed by union labor, and that includes crane work for any turbine work, as well as substation work. That concludes my presentation on this PPA. Can you answer any questions?
Okay, we'll first have any specific questions from the board, then we'll have public comment, and then we'll have an opportunity for board discussion. So any directed questions on this presentation?
I had one question.
Okay, please go ahead.
In the presentation, you referenced the 9-year term and that being unorthodox because that is the term for, you said it?
Oh, did I gloss over that? Apologies.
So what, meaning the project,
Yeah.
the lease term of the project is 9 years, the entity that, what was the it in that
Yes,
statement?
thank you. Sorry, I was very imprecise. The 9-year term is aligned with the current expiration date of the lease agreement. The developer's interested, the owner rather, is interested in considering repowering in future. And so we were sure to build in key right of first refusal rights, you know, if and when that happens, and if they decide to reinvest in the project. So it's a 9-year contract term to align with their line of sight on a lease agreement with the tribe.
Right. How common or uncommon is it for a lease not to be renewed? I mean, this.
Good question. We are in a really interesting transition point for a lot of these resources. I'd say wind has been, you know, in longer operation than solar, but we'll find out what happens generally to lease renewal. I think this one's unique just because it is on tribal land.
Mhm.
And so I don't have a lot of experience to compare that to. But I think, I would think that there would be, it's our understanding they have a good relationship, that they would want to reinvest, but there's no commitment for that in the PPA.
What risk, if any, is there to San Diego Community Power and having an unorthodox lease term?
Really none. This project isn't going to be, from our perspective, as long as we have visibility on the term, we can plan around that. And as long as an extension is at our option, and we're not dealing with an equitable commitment from us, but an option for them,
Mhm.
I think we're pretty well situated there. And then usually we do 10-year agreements or longer because really the financiers want that. Because they want that longevity and offtake when they invest
Right.
in the project. Sometimes we want that for midterm reliability compliance, but midterm reliability is specifically for new build. So we're not counting this resource toward it's called midterm reliability, which is a CPUC construct that is a requirement for LSCs to procure new build to replace Diablo Canyon and general retirement of fossil resources.
So new build doesn't necessarily mean just a new project coming online.
New build means, new build means new steel on the ground. And that has specific rules around it for that midterm reliability compliance, like I said. This is just considered an extension of the new contract to take advantage of the continued useful life. So often contracts are, 10 to 20 years, but most new build resources have a useful life out into 30, 35 years, et cetera. And developers usually like to, depending on their risk tolerance, like to lock that up or keep it open to remarket later date.
And so when you referenced this coming online in September, that's the lease, not the.
Oh, the September is our first delivery.
Right. But it's operating now.
It's operating now. It's operating merchant. I believe they don't have a long-term contract. I think the SDG&E contract expired in December. So they've been keen to get a new PPA underway.
Thank you. Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to public comment. Oh, you have another question, please.
Quick comment, Madam Chair, please. Thank you. I understand that, there are opportunities for community benefit, and I would hope that, you wouldn't forget our ratepayers to have that benefit back to them. Thank you.
Yes, and that was, I tried to make this a local project. It again has very clear benefits for the tribe. I wanted to be sure that there was also, benefit for our customers in the community benefits program that, will be utilized for the benefit.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. We'll go to public comment, and then if there's any additional board discussion, we'll do that after public comment.
There are
Mark?
none, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. Any additional board questions, comments, thoughts on this particular project?
Just a quick thought. I just thank you, Andrea, for bringing this to us because I'm excited too that we're working together with the tribe, and I think it's great. Do we have any other projects like this where we're sharing?
Yeah, we've been in conversations on well, one in particular that has tribal involvement. It's, I'd say a lot of local development runs into a lot of key interconnection challenges is just one example, but happy to follow up on that. Yeah, but that's definitely something that we're working on even with our public affairs team, engaging in those types of meetings and discussions with other tribes as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Move for approval, Madam Chair.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mari, please call the vote.
Director Elo Rivera,
Yes.
Director Fisher,
Aye.
Alternate Director Preciado,
Aye.
Director San Antonio,
Aye.
Director Suzuki,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani,
Aye.
Chair Lassen Rimer.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you so much. We will now proceed into closed session for the following matters. Conference with legal, apologies, Jack. That your CEO report, please go ahead.
No acting CEO report this evening. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, apologies.
Very efficient. We're very
Very efficient. I appreciate the efficiency. Okay, we now move into closed session for the matters of conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, and conference with labor negotiators pursuant to code section 54957, public performance of evaluation pursuant to government code 54957, public employee appointment. And this is for the acting chief executive officer. And Mari, do we have any public comments on these closed session items?
We do not, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, calling the meeting back to order. This is our report back from closed session. Does the special counsel have anything to report back from closed session?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The board met in closed session on item 4, by Greg Suzuki and a second by Vice Chair Planning to Jack Parker. There was no legal action.
Okay, thank you very much. We now move to item 16, approve second amendment to the employment agreement for the general counsel. Nick, can you please go ahead and present?
Under the general counsel's employment agreement, there is a evaluation annually for the general counsel. And that process having been negotiated with the general counsel is now considering a second amendment to the general counsel employment agreement to provide a full position to the general counsel. It is the same amount that is proposed. Between general counsel salary to 400,000 cents.
Okay, thank you very much.
Make a motion to approve.
Please go, do we have any public comment?
We do not, Madam Chair.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Director Eloy Rivera.
Yeah.
Director Fisher.
Aye.
Alternate Director Preciado. Director San Antonio.
Aye.
Director Suzuki.
Aye.
Vice Chair Yamani.
Aye.
Chair Lassen Reimer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. That brings us to the end of our agenda today. I appreciate everyone's participation, and our next regular meeting of the Community Power Board of Directors will be August 27th, 2026 at 5 o'clock. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Madam Chair.